Did I say this in a previous episode? If I have, I might be repeating. But who would you have around a dinner table if you could have any three people? Did we say this before?
We haven't. No, we might have.
So if you could have anyone round a dinner table, past or present, as in they don't have to be from the same decade, they could be thousands of years apart, alive or not, who would you have around the dinner table with you?
Okay, three people. I obviously don't need to know them. They could be celebs and all the rest of it.
We're throwing it out there. It could be anyone, really anyone.
Okay, David Attenborough would be one.
Good shout.
I just think he's done so much cool stuff, and there'd just be so much to talk about. I would love to listen to just him talk. Stephen Fry.
Okay.
I find him really interesting. I love some of his views on stuff, and then some of his things I find them quite polarizing. But I just think, as a conversationalist, he'd be a good person to have round a table. And I feel like I should have a woman round the table just to balance things out a little bit. Who would I have? Probably Annie Lennox.
That's a good shout. Yeah.
Yeah. I love her music for a start, but I've always been fascinated about.
But would you be waiting in vain for her all of the time, or is it going to just be a bit of walking on glass?
I love the references. I love it. But they would be my three. That would be my dinner table. I'd enjoy that meal. You?
Yeah. I could be boring and say Bruce Springsteen, Bruce Lee, people like that who are inspiration and people you just want to chat to. So I'm not going to be boring and go, that wouldn't be boring for me. But I'm not going to give. Based on what we started talking about, I would go with Nelson Mandela, Hitler, and Genghis Khan or someone like that, because I think that would make a good dinner table.
Yeah.
And I think Genghis Khan was a cannibal as well, wasn't he? So I think
you know what you're eating.
Yeah, I think it would just make for good conversation. And that's what I have learned is someone very wise said to me earlier, not earlier, a little while back, that they associate themselves with people that are also healthy for them as well, that don't necessarily have the same views. It's important in business, in sport, in different things, to have people that don't always yes sir, no sir, yes sir, no sir. Not necessarily be negative or have their own agenda. I don't mean it from that point of view, but someone that's going to have a different opinion. And I had it. There's a guy that I work with the tournament side of things and that, and I'm very black and white. I'm very that's the rule. That's what it is. You're disqualified. Whereas he works very much in a shade of grey, and it's like, rules can be bent, they can be manipulated. And his point of view is, because if you give someone something at one point, you're going to be able to get something from them at another point. So in a simple term of, all right, I'll let this one ride, but then when it comes, the shoes on the other foot, they can turn around and say, well, I let that one ride. Well, what about you this time? And I find that interesting, but I think too much of one thing isn't good, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. If your opinion is solely, you see this a lot with celebrities where they get surrounded by yes men. And then they end up going a little bit insane because just nothing they say is ever challenged or questioned. And then you end up in a place where you kind of feel you're infallible and can do no wrong. And then you start doing some real outlandish, mad stuff. Yeah, some wrong. And then things get a little out of control. Yeah, that's for sure. You gotta be comfortable with having conversations with people, like you said, that don't share the exact same values, because normally you learn something new from it, don't you?
Yeah, and it's that whole balancing energy again, isn't it?
Yes.